On today's episode, Cam Whitmore is a wizard. We love this trade, and we'll talk about why and more next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello all, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Wizards. I'm Abdullah, credentialed member of the Washington Wizards and host of DMV Sports Zone page, and I am here with the great and pink Benjamin Strober, producer with DC Sports Talk Stations 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And remember, Locked On Wizards is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Wizards, where the best way to help us grow is to comment anything below. And today's question is, do you love the Cam Whitmore trade as much as us? Today's episode is also brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Benjamin, enough of me talking. Cam Whitmore is a freaking wizard. How are we feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling great about the trade. I'm not going to feel great later because you can see right here I'm pink. I'm a redhead, so I'm burnt as hell right now. I just got off the boat where I was fishing, and I received the news the second I got in my car that Cam Whitmore was heading to the Washington Wizards for 2 second-round picks, and I was like, oh my God. Will Dawkins just keeps us on our toes because a quiet, very doldrum free agency, to say the least. We had not seen any moves, or the only really speculation we had seen about the Wizards was the Jonathan Kuminga rumors, which have been swirling around per The Athletic the past couple days. And then this just comes out of nowhere. I can say right now that this is a move that I absolutely did not expect whatsoever. And, a couple weeks ago, you and I were talking about it. Cam Whitmore, how was he not involved in that trade for Kevin Durant, where Kevin Durant goes to the Rockets? You'd figure that he would be included in that deal to go to Phoenix because of how young and promising he is. Widely considered the steal of the draft 2 years ago here in the NBA. The Wizards now have 9 first-round picks from the last 3 drafts. So Will Dawkins in this front office is doing exactly what I think is the right move here, because they are stacking up as many high upside players as possible at this point. They're giving themselves so many chances by swinging consistently here that, I feel like the thinking here from Dawkins, Winger, and Schlenk is that they're going to hit on some of these guys. You're going to find your home run player here. Now the Wizards have just a plethora of really, really young talent. The youth movement just continues to grow, Abdullah. I'm stoked up right now about it.
And I'm looking at the official tweet, I'll say right now, per Shams, the Houston Rockets are trading Cam Whitmore to the Washington Wizards for 2 second-round picks. I think those picks are those second-round picks that they acquired through trade. I think one of them was from the Bulls, and one of them was from the Kings, something like that. And then sources tell ESPN the deal gives Whitmore a tremendous opportunity for an increased role as he turns 21 on Tuesday and returns to the DMV area. He grew up a Wizards fan, so that's insane to think about. And a part of me is wondering, maybe did he have the option to choose to come to Washington? Because again, we talked about Houston. They just paid Jabari Smith. Kevin Durant is there right now, so his role just really wasn't there. And for me, I loved his game coming out of the draft in 2023, and he was one of the guys I wanted the Wizards to draft. And then we got Bilal Coulibaly, and he kept slipping, whether if it was character concerns or health, but whatever it was, he's proven why he should be any type of rotational player, even a starter at some point. And turning 21 on Tuesday, that is insane. Shout out to Will freaking Dawkins. A quiet free agency period. We were talking about it like, what are we talking about? Like, really nothing much going on right now besides, the team waiving Anthony Gill. But you trade for Cam Whitmore, and on top of that, you do it in complete silence. No rumors were talked about this. Jonathan Kuminga was the main attraction that everyone was talking about that. And on the back end of it, you're dealing with Cam Whitmore coming to DC. That is incredible. Shout out to Will Dawkins for 2 second-round picks. We talked about how, second-round picks, that's not that valuable. People were claiming that. And Cam Whitmore, this guy has so much potential, and I can't wait. 6'7" forward. We're going to talk about where he stands in this Wizards roster, but what a freaking move by Will Dawkins and crew, Ben.
And I'll say one thing. This is such a tight-lipped front office from what we've seen so far. And, of course, The Athletic reports that the Wizards were interested in Kuminga along with, 6 other teams. So I'm not sure how much I buy into, because also there are a couple other sources saying that the Wizards hadn't really shown any actual interest in Jonathan Kuminga. But Kuminga, much like Whitmore, a player super young and super talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that just wasn't really getting a ton of run within the organization that they were playing with respectively, just because of how much talent was around. And I know there was kind of a personal thing, of course, with Kuminga and Steve Kerr. Those two weren't on the same page. So the Warriors were looking to kind of give him a fresh start somewhere. But Whitmore just kind of, falls into the thing where he doesn't benefit in playing in a really crowded situation in Houston. So much talent, especially at his position. You just think about all the guys that have come to Houston, especially this offseason, that are going to play alongside Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Alfred Şengün, and then Kevin Durant added to the mix as well. It's just a really crowded situation for the Houston Rockets, who are in a win-now window. And they make this trade here. And it is interesting that 2 second-round picks gets the deal done for me because he's so young. Like you said, he's turning 21 on Tuesday, right? So for him to have the opportunity to kind of get another start here in Washington, the place where he grew up, he's a graduate of Spalding High School, and now he gets an opportunity to really showcase what he's all about as a player amongst an entire group of young players surrounding him. And I just really want to know where he's going to fit in terms of the rotation right now. And he strikes me as a guy, he's at 6'7", and you'd think at that point, hybrid role, like he could play the point forward position pretty much. You either stick him at the 4, he could play the 3, but that's such a crowded room right now for the Wizards, because obviously you have your first round draft choice from 2 years ago, Bilal Coulibaly, playing off the wing, Keyshawn George, who emerged really heavily down the stretch of last year, playing at the 4. And, the Wizards didn't really have anything going for them center-wise. And I guess maybe this is the signal here that Alex Sarr is going to play the 5 next year primarily. And then maybe, I guess, Whitmore slots in as the 4. Does that leave Keyshawn George minutes on the table? I just really, at first glance, I'm a little bit confused where he's going to slot in. But I think the talent that he has, he's a guy that is going to get a ton of run and make an instant impact on this team.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to think about that we'll have a problem where there'll be too much talent and we have to distribute minutes wise. And it's just Cam Whitmore last year, and I get it, the Rockets didn't have as much playing time as he wanted to, but when given the opportunities, I'm looking at some stats this past season: 27 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists against the Thunder, 34 against the Lakers. April 11th, they get at the end of the stretch of the NBA season, not really playing defense there, but 27 in December of 2024, 16, 18. So there was so many stretches where you saw the potential of Cam Whitmore. And now he comes to Washington, a team that he grew up as a fan, and he sees the role. And it's amazing because not too long ago we talked about it, but even before that, when I was on the Locked On Wizards, when I just started, I said, hey, why not trade for Cam Whitmore? This is a guy that probably don't have to give up that much, and the opportunity here is clear. And it's amazing. Will Dawkins, not much moving free agency. I'll keep emphasizing that, but Wizards fans, we got a guy in Cam Whitmore who we can put at the 3 and the 4 and breeds competition. And now it brings me to the question, where does Corey Kispert lie? Ben, we talked about how he was a potential trade candidate come draft night, but he's still on the Wizards roster. And after giving that extension, do you think there's any room on this roster for him right now?
I honestly don't think so. I don't think, personally for me, I would be willing to get out of the Corey Kispert business by any means necessary at this point, because I just don't really think there's a role for him to play here. Not to say that he's a bad player at all. I think Corey Kispert is a fine player, especially off the bench, can shoot the 3 ball pretty well, decent at creating his own shot. But given the youth movement here, and I know it's crazy to say that Corey Kispert is not part of the youth movement because he's old enough at that point where he's an unk considered by Wizard standards. But I just don't feel like he really has a spot. And someone in the comments actually said it best here, that Coach Keefe is going to earn his money because he has so many players to rotate. It's going to be really interesting to see how they work that out. Where does a guy like Tristan Vucevic slot in this mix? Because, you and I have made the point in our last episode that we'd like to see him get a lot more minutes this year, whether he's playing at the 4 or the 5. How does this affect the playing time we might see from him? Does it get pushed back a little bit? If he's on a 2-way contract, then maybe bring him on later in the year. I would like to see him as early as possible. I'm presuming we're going to see him play in the Summer League, which will be exciting. But there's so many different ways the Wizards can go from right here. They're taking so many swings. This is what you have to do at this stage in the NBA, because you got to hit a home run at some point. And this is a guy that is considered one of the steals of the draft just a couple years ago, and the Wizards didn't obviously take him at that point. He fell down to the Houston Rockets, but now an opportunity to get another super young, talented players. And he didn't have to give up that much to get him, because one of the trade ideas that we had entertained a little bit, something I had talked about with Linnell Willingham, who we hope to have on here tomorrow to break down a little bit more of the situation that we have brewing in our nation's capital. For a trade for Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors wanted a first-round pick, and then you think to yourself, well, the Wizards do have that first-round protected pick from Golden State in 2030. That was part of the Jordan Poole trade. But the Wizards were able to use a pick that they got when they traded Jonas Valanciunas at the deadline last year as part of this deal, 2 second-round picks to get it done. So the Wizards didn't have to give up a whole lot to get this deal done, which is the most unbelievable part for me.
Yeah, and it's a tough day for those people that say second-round picks are useless, because clearly Will Dawkins says otherwise. We're going to talk about next just how bright is the future here in Washington. We got to give more credit where credit is due for Will Dawkins. This is Locked On Wizards. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Gametime comes in. Gametime makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal? Gametime's zone deals pick the best seats in your section for you. Ever wonder what your view will actually look like before you buy? The app shows you a panoramic seat view, so there are no surprises. With Gametime, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Worried about what happens if plans change? The Gametime guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDNOMBA for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. For those of you that are not unfortunately able to watch us on YouTube, Ben is really, really pink right now. And it only took the Wizards to get Cam Whitmore for Ben to look like this. But Ben, just how bright, we talked about it earlier on in today's live stream, just how bright is the future. 9 first-round picks here in DC, that is insane.
I can't even believe it. To think about where this organization was just a couple of years ago. You think back to 2021 when this team was a fringe play-in team, gets in and gets a gentleman's sweep courtesy of the Philadelphia 76ers with Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook on the roster. Then 2022, the team bottoms out. They sell Rui Hachimura for a second-round pick and Kendrick Nunn in that trade. Then he goes off. Rui Hachimura goes off in game 1 of the playoffs against the Grizzlies. And then Tommy Shepard, he gets shown the door. And from that point on, it took a couple months, and this new era is ushered in under Michael Winger, Travis Schlenk, and Will Dawkins. And the moves instantly start to get made as they start to gut all of the pieces, the entire mess. It is an entire thing to clean up because there was so much trash left over from the previous 2 regimes. You have Ernie Grunfeld, who created a mess, and then Tommy Shepard just adds to it. It's like Garbage Island out in the Pacific. And now Will Dawkins and crew have, initiated the cleanup crew to get everything under control. They draft, they keep on drafting, and then they start to trade, try to find assets, ways that they can acquire more draft picks. And that's exactly what they do. They've made savvy moves, ones that we see as surprising at the time. They traded Denny Avdia on draft night to get Bub Carrington, who will be the starting point guard this year. And despite not having lottery luck, they were still able to obtain a really, really talented player in Trey Johnson in this draft. They add another former first-round pick in Dylan Jones because of the other trades they were able to make throughout the past couple of years. It's just ridiculous. They've made so many moves that have all been just moving parts to get to where they're at now. 9 first-round picks on this team over the last 3 years. It's unbelievable what we've seen. And now there's just upside all over the place within this Wizards roster. Now you just get to the question of, like, where is this all going around? Who's going to get what minutes? But this is a problem you want to have as a young team. You want to have this issue where you don't know who's going to play where because you have too much young talent on your team. And the more chances you take a crack at it by swinging here with a young, high upside player, they are bound to hit on somebody. I will say that right now. With the amount of people they have that are highly touted prospects, super talented, especially offensively. And now you add Cam Whitmore to the mix. It's unbelievable. I barely even have words to speak of what we've seen from Will Dawkins right here.
It's insane value. Cam Whitmore, about to turn 21, entering year 3, average 9.4 points per game on 44% field goal percentage, 35% from three-point line, so he can shoot it as well. And a limited role in Houston last year. So imagine when he's given the opportunities, the minutes here in Washington, which I think he will be given. And it's gonna. You talked about Coach Keefe earlier. It's gonna be a lot to prove for him because there's a lot of talent on this team. He has to figure out, hey, how many minutes am I going to give Cam Whitmore compared to Tristan Vucevic? I mean, Kelly Olynyk is still here. And then on the backcourt side of it, Trey Johnson, Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, that year 3 jump that we want to see offensively, AJ Johnson, Dylan Jones. There's just so much freaking talent here in Washington that a year ago from today, we were thinking that we don't have enough talent. But now there's a possibility where there's too much talent here in Washington. There's only one ball. So we're going to have to figure it out. And giving up 2 second-round picks, Ben, I mean, that is insane value. And on top of that, you still have so many second-round picks to use. It's just right now, if I just don't know how. I get it, you want to see results, but how can you question Will Dawkins and what he's done so far? Every move he has done, it's just going to make sense. And this Cam Whitmore trade is going to make sense in due time.
And this is exactly what this front office had to do when they took over to clean up the mess, as I've mentioned so many times already in the past 5 minutes. This organization needed a direction. And by direction, I mean a plan. And what the plan for the Wizards has been is to bottom out for at least a couple years. And maybe we're expecting them to do it for one more year here because you got to keep the draft pick upcoming for next year, which is going to be an insanely stacked class featuring guys like AJ DeBonsa, the Boozer twins. The list goes on and on. But with that, the Wizards also part of that direction was the youth movement, obtaining high upside players, people that will be super impactful players in this league when it's all said and done, when the Wizards are ready to compete again. Right now, they're just bringing the talent up little by little. They're giving themselves so much time to develop the players they have on this roster because there's not as much pressure on them right now. You have all of these young players. You bring in a number 6 overall pick in Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore add to the mix. Everyone being so young and, and on team-friendly deals at the moment, like this is why this is a better move right now than Kuminga, because Kuminga would have to get paid right away, which, that could be a problem going forward for the Wizards. Not sure what kind of money he would command in that situation and how the Wizards would come up with it and what it would mean for the guys they have here in the future. Now that they're still in this position where they're not quite ready to compete, but maybe they're trying to speed up the process a little bit. You bottom out for one more year than next year. I mean, you have all the cap space, the financial flexibility freeing up, and still more assets likely to come if you can flip guys like Middleton, Marcus Smart, Kelly Olynyk, whoever else, CJ McCollum, of course. How could I forget about him? The Wizards are priming themselves to be in a position where by the time they're ready to compete, they're going to have these players almost at the top of their game starting to enter their prime. And that's exactly what the Oklahoma City Thunder did. I mean, Will Dawkins, he comes from the Sam Presti tree, and we are seeing
we got to emphasize that every single episode.
We're seeing a similar mold and a similar blueprint here. So I don't understand how you could be against what's going on here in Washington. Will Dawkins in this front office has done the thing that needed to happen for so long here in DC. They needed to rebuild. They needed to find an identity, and the youth movement is the identity of this team. And I think it's going to pay off long term. I mean, I can't believe how many former first round picks are on the team. And these aren't has-beens that are former first round picks. Like, these are legit prospects, high upside players. This is crazy.
And this Wizards team just got more fun. I mean, before it's so much young talent. They're not going to be winning a lot, but this is going to be a young team to watch. But add a guy like Cam Whitmore who's just so freaking athletic, can play the point forward. And there's so much talent on this roster. I legit can't emphasize it enough. We haven't even seen Dylan Jones play. AJ Johnson is scratching the surface. Trey Johnson potentially could be a top 3 Rookie of the Year finalist. So I know so is Cam allowed to play in today's summer league, or is this too much of a turnaround?
Well, it's too early to even tell for that. Like, I was in the car, the news broke, I came right back home, and I'm recording this. Like, I haven't even sat down to really look at anything other than the details of the trade and a couple other tidbits. Locked On Law brings up a good point here that they have 16 players on the roster, so another move is coming. Is that Corey Kispert Do we see him get? I mean, do you just trade him right now for a second round pick if you can get it? Like, honestly, I think I would do it.
Yeah,
Because what else are you going to add at this point? He's not worth a first, obviously. If you're able to get a second round pick for Corey Kispert, I'm all in for moving him by any means necessary. He doesn't have a role in this team anymore. He just doesn't. He can't run with these young guys. It's not going to make sense.
Yep. We'll talk about more. This is Locked On Wizards. Corey Kispert, as much as I hate to admit, because I was a big fan of him coming out of Gonzaga, I just think the emergence of Keyshawn George last year, the size that Georgia offers, the versatility is a big reason why he's 1 foot out of the door. And again, he wasn't a Will Dawkins draft pick. So you say that at most you can get a second for him, nothing more than that, Ben?
I don't see him as being worth more than that at all. I mean, the dream scenario that people had come up with trading for Jonathan Kuminga when that was being swirled around over the last couple of days, was there even any validity to that? I don't know. The Athletic reports it, so obviously it's credible, but their name was kind of just tied in with a bunch of other teams, and some other sources said that the Wizards weren't really that interested in it. So, I mean, you're on the phone. If you're the Wizards, like, of course you're on the phone if you hear that Jonathan Kuminga might be available. That's a super young, talented player. Like, he instantly would have become one of the best young players on this team out of the group they have right now. But with that being said, the Wizards make a very low risk and potentially high reward move here by getting Cam Whitmore on the roster. And the way he slots in, it's just like, he'll be interchanged playing either the 4 or the 3. Then you have Sarr probably playing the 5. And then we'll see how Tristan Vucevic gets his name thrown in the mix here, if they're able to utilize him as well, because he's someone that we want to see a lot more of this year. There's a lot of options for what the Wizards can do. And they also can kind of manage the way they utilize some of this young talent here. Maybe a guy like Will Riley kind of has his first NBA season shape up to be like his first year playing college basketball, where he kind of just saw more and more time as the season went on. He was coming off the bench and eventually was inserted into that starting role as the season went on. We might see that with a guy we might see that out of Riley here at the pro level, as like he just learns the game, getting, a few minutes at a time every single night until he kind of meshes and molds his game into what they feel is the best for him at this level. But that's like why it's important that you get guys with super high upside and people that have potential to be great scorers in this league. And the way they have put themselves on this timeline, they're in a position where they don't have to put pressure on anyone right now. You don't have to take this team and say, you guys got to win the NBA Finals this year. That's it. Like, if you don't go out there and win it, you'll never win. The Wizards are not even close to being in that position still, but maybe they get a little bit closer today with this move in Whitmore. They're just trying to shrink down the timeline a little bit. And then hopefully a year or two down the road, when the team is ready, in a position to compete, if the Eastern Conference is maybe still down, I guess the injuries won't be as much of a factor at that point, but you don't know what the East is going to look like a year from now. Anything can happen. The Wizards can find themselves in a position where everyone is starting to enter their prime, starting to play some of their best basketball at a young age, and say, I mean, now, like, legitimately, we could go out there and win something. We could go out in free agency or in the trade market and get somebody else we feel would make this team, push them over the edge, make them a championship contender. The possibilities are endless for what the Wizards can do going forward from here. They've put themselves in a position where they're going to have a ton of options going forward, and that's the best part of the entire thing.
And on top of that, you also have the pick swaps from Phoenix, and Phoenix is falling apart day by day. So it's surreal as a Wizards fan to see a competent front office doing their job, because the bar was set so low after Shepard and Grunfeld. Even that bar was something, it was low as well. But this is great. Again, getting a guy in Cam Whitmore legit makes this team much younger, low risk, high reward type of move. And we love to see those second round picks. There's a reason why they had so many of them. Will Dawkins collected a lot of them. So my question, Ben, is, and this is very, very early, but what do you see the potential starting 5 going into this season?
Oh, let's think here for a second. So Bob Carrington is your point guard. CJ McCollum, though, does he start on this team? Because I just find it hard to imagine that CJ McCollum comes off the bench. He's a 33-year-old dude, a great veteran who is a great dude to have on the floor a lot. I know he's going to get his minutes and play alongside a lot of the young kids, but do you make the case where like Trey Johnson should just instantly be in the starting lineup? Like he's a guy you put him in there right away, get him his touches and let him get his shot. Just let him start developing right away. I don't know what's going to happen with McCollum. I think he's a guy that's definitely going to be on the team. The trades are all official as of tomorrow, actually. So we're going to see who gets announced on the team or what happens with that. At the 3, Koulibaly. I think Bilal is a guy that they're still waiting to see that year 3 jump, something that you and I have talked so much about this offseason. You're going to see him slot in at the 3, getting his opportunity here in a really big season for him. And then the 4, do you go Whitmore? I think you do over Keyshawn George, even though George is a guy that just showed me so much promise over the last season. Like Keyshawn George is really a dude. Like that guy can stroke it from anywhere on the floor. He's a lob threat, and he's also an insane defender. Like he has so much value on the floor that I can't make up my mind. I just feel like you trade for Cam Whitmore, though. You don't give up a lot to get him, but you'd feel like he's a guy the Wizards are going to be high on. He has so much potential in this league. And then you have Sarr will be the big. But, I mean, look at this conversation we're having. Like we can't even figure out who's going to start on this team right now. It's ridiculous.
It's a great comment right here by Excellent Java. Thank you for tuning into Locked On Wiz. This is crazy. We have too much talent, meaning some guys are going to be stunted. And it's just insane to even think about a starting 5 because there's so much talent on this team. And we brought up Keyshawn George. Him and Cam Whitmore battling for Mez. Tristan Vucevic is a guy who I think when given minutes, he can go out there and produce. Justin Champagnie, a guy that we haven't even talked about, we forgot his name. He, after giving that contract, he's been playing really, really well this past season. So a lot on the table for the Wizards. There's a lot to Coach Brian Keefe to figure out. But Will Dawkins giving everyone in DC some hope. This is just another great move by him. And do you think this is just one of many moves, or do you think this is enough and we'll keep the vets in Olynyk, McCollum, and whatnot?
We might see movement with that. I think Rashawn Holmes is someone that we're still waiting to see what happens with him because I know he has $250,000 guaranteed right now. And, you know, he's on an expiring deal this year. So theoretically, you could see him get moved. But he also could be a guy that the Wizards want to keep around as a center depth piece off the bench to play here in Washington. He was, starting games at the end of the year for this team. So that's going to be interesting development to follow as well. But I think there might be more moves incoming. Like obviously we're going to see a corresponding move because there's 16 players on the team right now. That's what's next, I guess. I mean, I'm just so stoked. I'm fired up right now to see how much young talent is on this team. This season is going to be so much fun. Like we're not even expected to win games, but it's going to be mad fun to watch these dudes mesh and see what Brian Keefe has in store for them because there's going to be so many minutes to go around. How do they organize it? How do they distribute these minutes? It's going to be crazy to watch it all unfold. And we'll see Summer League a week from now. Man, it's a good time to be a Wizards fan. Buy stock in us now.
Yeah.
Like get it right now. Everyone trying to write us off and say that we suck. No one will ever play for the Wizards and we're just a trash organization. Our front office is legit, people. Like we are doing things that we have not seen from the Wizards front office ever before, at least in our young lives. Like this is a completely new era of Washington basketball, and it continues to get even more exciting and interesting.
Mm-hmm. One last question, Ben, because I was thinking about this during when the trade went down. Do you think with the addition of Will Riley in the draft and now trading for Cam Whitmore, this puts any pressure on Bilal Coulibaly having that year 3 jump?
I think there was pressure on him from the start. And Bilal is a fantastic player. I love Bilal Coulibaly. I think he has the potential to be one of the most athletic freaks and super talented offensive players in this league. And I mean, his defense alone, he's already a top NBA level perimeter defender. He's unbelievable. He is a really, really good player. And he will be a great player in this league for a long time, no matter where he is. But with this season coming up, he's extension eligible next summer. So yeah, there is absolutely pressure on Coulibaly to, expand his game, be more of a threat from the outside, develop more consistency handling the ball as well. This is a huge year for Bilal. I mean, he's going to have to show to this front office why they chose him with their first draft pick 2 years ago. He's going to have to prove that he is worthy of an extension here in Washington. And I'm hopeful, and I believe he can do it. They're putting the pressure on him, and that's That's okay. He's got to be healthy, though. He really needs to be healthy. We need to see him play in 70 to 80 games this year. Like, he has not been able to finish a year with this. Like, he's been injured at the end of the year for the first 2 years of his career. And that's something that's concerning. I know last year, maybe part of the tank job, him kind of just being shut down for the rest of the year, but like, he needs to stay healthy. That's going to be the biggest thing for him.
Yep. Benjamin Schroeder, ladies and gentlemen, the pink man who we all can agree with. Wizards are on right trajectory. It's great time to be a Wizards fan right now. Like you mentioned, buy that stock. That's pretty much it on today's emergency live stream. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen today. For your second listen, find the Locked On NBA podcast where there's no offseason. Doug, Matt, and Hayes keeps you up to date on contract negotiations, rumors, and everything you need to be the most informed NBA fan. Find Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. 237 people right now in the chat. Thank you, guys. Make sure you are like, comment, subscribe to the Locked On Wizards channel.
Shout out
Anything
to
else you want to say, Ben?
Hey, shout out to everyone who joined the stream. Wizards Nation, stand up right now. Be loud and proud that you're a Wizards fan, because I got a lot of friends who are not Wizards fans that text me, said, damn, that's a W move right there. Like, I could never have thought the Wizards would trade for Cam Whitmore. And for the value you get him at, that's incredible. Stand up, Wizards Nation. We coming.
Hop on that bandwagon before it's too late, man. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Abdullah. That is Ben Strober. This is Locked On Wizards signing out. Hail to the Wizards.